sleeper agents are some of the most destructive types of agents in the intelligence community. I've researched and read declassified documents on how this is done. It's not a big deal if you're under surveillance from the CIA. And probably a lot of you are, a lot of we are. Doesn't mean you're a terrorist or anything like that. There's going to be a lot of reasons why this is happening. And there's going to be reasons why they need to subvert your life, or control your life, or destroy your life. You know, you may be a UFO buff like me. You may be involved in. You're not in the fold. You're not with them. There's a million reasons why this will happen to you. But in this video, we're going to talk about sleeper agents. Very short and simple. A sleeper agent it can be someone working, well, I'm going to pick on the CIA for a minute. It could be anybody. It could be an agent from a foreign government. It could be KGB, Kremlin, Portugal intelligence, could be Israeli intelligence, it could be anybody. But this is typically how a sleeper agent can be so destructive to your life. As the name suggests, it starts out with, it could be someone that's already working for the intelligence community, or someone recruited or brought in. So you get into this relationship with someone, you think you know them. You know, they embed into your life. They get really close to you. They get to know your friends, your contacts, everything about your personal life. You might even have sex with them. There's a partnership, a dating that goes on, you know, and it gets a bit intimate. And you start going to bed with them, and things you start kicking the hills a bit. And then there's like all sorts of activity. If they're already CIA, they will detonate. It's called obstruct. That means that at some point in the contact with this person, they will obstruct. They'll detonate. They'll start to fall out with you and have all kinds of arguments about things that don't seem to make any sense at first. And this becomes a very disruptive kind of contact, and eventually the person becomes too much for you to deal with. So you, like all sensible people, well, I'll just cut the contact with you. Well, I'm not going to deal with you anymore. And then you think that's it, it's done, you broke up. But then this person stalks you, or they start to cause you trouble, and they call you and they tell you, you raped me, and I'm going to report you to the police. And then you think, what the hell? Then they start calling on your business, your employer, where you live. They just start to just take your life and dismantle it, and rip it apart, rip it open, and then pick apart all the bits of your personal life and eat it, destroy it, and devour it. And it's like an animal. It just goes in, and they just start feeding on pieces of your life until you're completely homeless, you're destroyed, you're unemployed. And the other way that sleeper agents can get into your life is that it's an ordinary person you've met that has no connection to the CIA or anybody. But what they do is the CIA, like Project MK Ultra, they will recruit. They don't ever do it directly. They like to get subcontractors. They'll call in a gang, a mafia, or some local drug dealers, and they'll stalk the girl you're dating. They'll get the girl, and they'll pay them sums of money, and they'll say, here's what you're going to do with her. And you're going to take her out and have sex with her. You're going to tell her that she has to have sex with you. Blackmail, extortion will take place. The girl is then forced into doing stuff, and a lot of women think, what's the harm? Yeah, I've had sex before, and they get really naive and think, well, I don't want to tell anybody I'm in trouble. And so all of a sudden they're being taken out the door, and then they end up in these swingers parties, and there's a lot of sex, lots of copious amounts of sex, and the men are never ordinary men, to put it politely. They're quite endowed, large, and there's a lot of very hard sodomistic anal sex which takes place. This video is set for 18 and older. I like the YouTube features now, so that I can now be a little more discreet about my research. So this one is for 18 and older, okay? So these men, it's anal. There's a Brookings Institute report in the 1950s in my research long ago. Psychiatrists found anal sex on women was one of the most powerful mind control techniques ever devised. Better than LSD, better than drugs, better than hypnosis. Especially when the woman is being subjected to blackmail sex, like she's being forced to do it. She's been told you have to do this. There's pictures and videos of you. I'll share to the world if you don't do what I want. And so they go out, and then these handlers show up. There's usually the guy that's involved in the sex, and then there's a man or woman standing off to the side shouting at her, telling her psychological things. They're subversive things. Submissive behaviors and attitudes are called into question. Well, why did you do this? Why do you do that? Well, why do you like him? Why do you think he's anything to you? Well, why don't you do what we want to do? Well, why don't you look at him and see him the way we see him? That he's really not your friend. That he's out to hurt you. Don't you understand that? And while they're saying this, there's another guy. They're usually called the Johns. They don't talk to the woman a lot of times. They're the ones continuously having the sexual intercourse with the girl, while this handler's shouting at them these subversive psychological, it's called brainwashing, it's programming. And the gangs and the dealers involved will go along with that. There may be a psychologist that shows up, or someone that has a background in that with the CIA, that will be involved in this experience. Usually it's gangs and mafia that will perfectly happy to get naked and have sex with a girl when given the opportunity, and there's no comeback. They can't get in trouble. So they're always perfectly happy to drop their trousers and hop in. That's the connection with drugs and drug dealers. The CIA often employ them because they don't want a paper trail when the police, if the police ever get involved, they don't want a paper trail running back to the Central Intelligence Agency in the United States. They don't want that running back to them. So they think what we'll do is we'll hire these subcontractors, drug dealers, and all the like to do our job for us. After weeks and months of hardcore sexual sodomy, anal, whatever going on with the girl, and she's been forced out a lot, she becomes brainwashed. She loses herself. She no longer knows who she is. She suffers from dissociative personality disorder. She becomes disconnected from herself in a dissociative personality disorder, and the programmer, the handler, has now put triggers and controls in her mind, and now telling her what to do. At this point, she then becomes a very powerful weapon. At this point, she's a very powerful sleeper agent. Now, that doesn't mean to say that they've done this to her to program her to get her away from the target, the guy they hate. No. That's the second thing that comes. The first thing that will happen is they will program her for all that permissive mind control sex they forced her into, and bizarre swingers parties and multiple partners at one time that will be going on. The first thing they will do is tell her, you will do a job against the target, against this man for us. Instead of say myself, say Jason, you will now continuously tell him you are not with him. You will now fall out. You will also call authorities on him. You will call authorities, you will call police, you will call his place of business, you will cause him as much trouble as humanly possible. It won't make any sense. Onlookers will think, what the hell, some kind of a couple falling out? What's going on here? This happens. Then the last thing they will do is make her lose the contact with him, And then in many cases, they will kill her in the end. They do kill. The CIA will murder, and that's to clean up the line. That way there's no witnesses, because she could be a witness. She's a loose end. The last thing that will happen after the contact ends and she thinks she's done everything that she's been programmed to do, what do you want me to do? I'll do it. The last thing they will do is, in many cases, in my research I found and uncovered over the years, is that the CIA will send a what's called a hit squad. They'll make it look like a suicide, like she overdosed, left a suicide note, or they'll make her write a suicide note. They'll drive her off somewhere, pump her full of pills, make her take the pills, sit her on the side of the road with a suicide note and drive off. She'll die. Or they'll kill her somehow. They'll just drown her. I mean, there's lots of ways to make it look like an accident or make it look like a suicide. So it doesn't end well for the victim, for the girl that's become forced into becoming a sleeper agent. Now, they don't kill them right away. They may kill them years later. They may kill them months later. It could be however long they need them to do a job on the target, the person they hate. So it could be years that go by, and then they will murder that girl. And always the police will write it off. They've got good at what they do. Now, the CIA operating in Great Britain is a hot, contentious issue. They will use a lot of subcontractors to do their work in the field. They don't, because British intelligence don't like them working over here like that against British citizens. They don't like that sort of thing, especially on British soil. This is Her Majesty's service. This is her country. And so there's a lot of secret wars going on, kind of battles with the British intelligence and CIA and national security in the United States running back and forth. We're supposed to be allies and friends, but there are targets. There are people they hate living in England, and they will send. These are what's known as political dissidents, not terrorists, but political dissidents, which is what I categorize in that category. A political dissident is someone that reveals some secret they don't want people talking about. Someone that doesn't necessarily conform to the thinking of kind of like a patriot running around and saying America's a great place. Rush Limbaugh, Michael Moore, these are political dissidents that are famous. But there are many political dissidents, or what they call subversive characters, that are far, far, far out of the range of terror. We're not terrorists, but we're political dissidents. And how they deal with us is, if they kill us directly, it opens up to, it's like you get a police investigation, what looks like could be a possible murder. Why don't they just kill the dissident? There's a lot of people watching the dissident, and a lot of times we're public. We've done something. We're already out there. And a lot of times they just kill dissidents, and it does look like a suicide. But I've been public for a number of years with my books. I have seen and witnessed over the years with other people in my research, including myself, where it does look like the CIA have been involved, or the American government is in this country, currently running secret operations against British citizens that apparently have been taken and brainwashed, and subversively brainwashed. The victims often think, well, it'll end at some point and I'll have my control back. You never get it back. You are never going to be let go of. One thing they are never going to do is let go of you. They are never going to walk away. The only way to get out of it is to get help. If you're a woman and you feel this is happening to you, you need to go to the police and the authorities and say, there are people making me have sex I don't want to have sex with. They've threatened me or threatened my family. They keep bringing this guy up and the experiences with them. For some reason, they've got a target on him. You may think that's an innocent thing. You may think it's just some weird, quirky thing. You're not really sure what this is about. But that is the CIA. Especially if the guy that's in front of you is an American who's running some rather dissident, sort of not quite patriotic or not quite politically correct things about the U.S. or its government or its practices. So the dissident thing is very serious. Or if it's true, the story's true, and I'm a lost kid to somebody from California, and it was a CIA cover-up anyways. Well, that would also be a big reason to be doing this. But that's my video. It's for adults only. You don't watch this video if you're under 18. This is not for anybody under that age because of the graphic nature of this video and the triggers involved. If you have any triggers or issues or mental health issues about if you think you've been taken by the government anyway, and you think you've had any of this go on with your life, don't watch this video. But if it has happened to you, or you think you are being gang stalked in this way into sexual activity that you don't want to do, you need to report this to the authorities as soon as possible. There could be a varying number of reasons this is happening to you. It could be that perhaps you have a former partner that owed a lot of money, and they're forcing you to have that sex and film you and take pictures of you naked during sex so they can sell the sexual material online to make up the money lost from a partner that did drugs or drank a lot. Alright, so that could be a reason this is happening to you, because a lot of times mafias and gangsters will target women if the ex-boyfriend owed a lot of money, like gambling debts or drug debts. Look, killing people is Hollywood. That's not what happens. They get more money out of killing anybody would be nothing. Well, the gangsters, the mafia, the drug dealers they're mad at that guy, so they're going to kill his girlfriend. No, they won't. They'll take the girlfriend and turn her into a porn star and make money off her and put her up in front of the camera and take a lot of videos. Now, she may become very psychopathologically deviant, and her behavior may become very aberrant and unusual. Watch for the warning signs. She may become very ineffectual, distant, and don't want to be touched, kissed, hold hands, or hug. She may become very, very agitated very easily and seem to lose all humanity and respect for human rights and human beings generally. She may become a very agitated person and drink a lot, and this drinking is a way of soothing herself over the experiences that she's been having. Even if she was already a drinker, she may smoke more pot than normal. She may become very aggravated with people around her and become very disruptive in her behavior. Watch who's been taking her out. Don't assume she's a prostitute. Don't ever assume that of anybody. Always assume you could be dealing with a victim first. Then second, if it's a prostitution situation, that's a victim also, but you know what to do. This is called sexual trafficking, and sexual trafficking can take on many forms. It has many different purposes why they do it. It could be CIA, like I told you at the start of the video. It could also be drug dealers. Maybe she's got a former partner that was into a lot of violence and drug dealing, and he owes a lot of money, and they found her and they're taking it out of her ass, literally. Watch her behavior and reaction. If you get her to talk about what's happening, if she's extremely, yeah, I had a threesome. There was one on top, one below. Yeah, I got fucked and they filmed it. Yeah, that's just how it is. Some men. Watch for that behavior. If that behavior comes up and she starts to talk very ineffectually and detached from the experience, she's a victim. That's a victim. And if you suspect this is a victim, then you need to call the police, especially if you're someone in authority. Anybody, you should call the police. The only time you should not be calling the police is if you're in front of the victim and the victim happens to have some form of control over your life. Like the victim is, she could cause you a lot of trouble. In other words, if you call the police to try to help her, and you feel that doing so, you will not be anonymous, and your name is going to get thrown right in the middle of this, then don't call the police. Because you will be in danger of harming yourself. She's very destructive, and she's a weapon. Someone's weaponized her. And now she will turn on you and destroy your life because you know too much. So the idea is destroy those who know too much. That's another reason that she could detonate on you. Not because people have programmed her to do it, but a sexually trafficked woman can be very dangerous if she finds that you're trying to interfere in that life and get to the bottom of what's going on. If she thinks you know too much, She'll detonate on you for that reason in an offensive, destructive mode. She's trying to protect and safeguard her secret. She's afraid you're going to reveal her to the world and to her family, and she don't trust you. So what do? We're going to call the police on you and call you names and blame you for everything that went wrong and blame you for all my troubles and woes. And I'm going to call all these people and I'm going to completely convince them what a monster and an asshole you are. And when they listen to me, that's it. Now she may take, if you're in contact with her, she may take everything out of context. She may take your messages, you may have been talking to her, phone calls, text messages, pictures together. She'll take anything she can and use it as evidence. There, that's evidence. This is an abusive controller. That's the one. Look at him. And it's because you're threatening her secret. You're threatening it. You're about to expose it, and she feels like you're about to just bring it right out to the world. Another reason that they're going to behave like that is to try to protect themselves from the fact they are abusing you and they're bullying you. They don't want anybody to realize they're the bully, so they try to convince everybody you're the bully. You're the guy, she's the girl. She's going to try to convince everybody you're the bully to cover the fact that she's doing something wrong, cover up her actions or behavior. This is a defensive mechanism so that no one looks at me, look at him, it's all him. I had to call these people on him, and she'll tell her whole family this. She'll try to convince everybody because you're getting close to a secret. You're getting close to something. You're getting close. And the more the fallouts happen, the closer you are to something. And she's terrified you're going to tell everybody she knows about it. Why? Because she's being threatened all the time by these people that they're going to do that to her anyways. So her trust is dead and all that's happened. But I have to say that even in that scenario, sexually trafficked women, sadly, they do take their own lives, or they do end up being killed by these people that traffic them. Because they use these women, sadly, like a product. Like some kind of a product. And then when they're done with that product, a lot of women end up dead. Sexual trafficking, the statistics of mortality is 8 out of 10. It's massive. How many women have you met in your life that could say, I was sexually trafficked for a number of years and blackmailed into videos and porn. I'm here, I'm alive today to talk about it. No, they're all dead. They end up in cemeteries, all ages, young and old. Their lives are in danger from a secret, deadly, lethal activity that may seem on the surface like, well, maybe she's just out having some, maybe she's into swinging. Maybe that's her thing. We don't really know. If you suspect somebody's in trouble, please reach out to the proper authorities, reach out to the victim support units, reach out to the people who can help them. That's my video. Like I said, I use my research skills in the UFO world and the investigative world, and it helps. It does tremendous stuff, but over the years, when you go off to become a UFO investigator researcher, when you do this sort of thing, you learn. It's an acquired skill. You learn from the professionals who have been detectives in the FBI, former intelligence operatives who've been in the field, who now turned against the CIA. I will never name those names. And they train you up. And my service to the community is videos like this that I create. It's a kind of a stop. Let me not talk about the paranormal or weird stuff for a minute. Let me give you a service to the community video and see if this helps you. This is my service to the community. I'm taking my very advanced detective skills, investigative skills, and research skills, and I'm bringing this to you, and I'm saying, hi there. This is to help you. If you're in this situation, please reach out and help the one you love. Thank you very much.